Друзі, привіт! Мене звати Альона Савіна. Я вітаю вас на каналі Wow Ukrainians. Сьогоднішній випуск присвячений тим, хто стоїть пліч-опліч з українцями. Для мене велика честь знімати такий матеріал, тож без зайвої інтриги та слів я запрошую вас до перегляду цього відео. Німецький дизайнер та стиліст Франк Вільде чи не щодня з лютого 2022 року публікує знімки з власного ліфту на підтримку українців. З перших днів повномасштабного вторгнення він волонтерив на вокзалі, а також долучився до створення фільму про українських біженців. Франк розповідає, що востаннє був в Україні понад 15 років тому. Але, за його словами, залишитись осторонь нашої боротьби за свободу він просто не зміг. Я сподіваюся, що ви зможете відчути, наскільки Франк підтримує нашу боротьбу та право кожної людини на волю.
It's not only for me, not only to support Ukraine, but also to help people accepting themselves and accepting themselves. You know, this is why we're this for LGBTIQ in military, because these people are defending the country, and they do it with love and everything. If a partner dies, his partner will not be able to visit him in hospital and whatnot. And this is unfair. And this is really unfair, and it has to be changed, you know. You know, I work as a costume designer, and so for me, it's a tool to express my things without saying a word. And fashion can do that, you know, can send a message where you don't have to speak the language to understand what it's about and what it means. And when the full-scale invasion started, I actually was posting before about it and about my worries that Ukraine will be attacked.
2 days before.
Yeah, but also on Facebook, I posted a picture where I just stand in blue and yellow with yellow flowers or blue outfit, and I was just writing Slava Ukraini, and that was 2 days before the full-scale invasion started. Simply because for me it was pretty obvious what was going on, and I mean we know what Russia does, you know. I mean, we've been seeing it in Georgia, we've been seeing it with Crimea, and it was pretty obvious that this was going to happen. But a lot of people wanted to ignore it, you know. Also in Europe and also my country. Everybody was like, you know, shocked.
Я запитала Франка, чому так багато людей у Німеччині засуджують війну, яку розпочала Росія, але й багато тих, хто виступає проти поставок зброї та закликає сісти за стіл переговорів з Російською Федерацією.
Yeah, you have to understand this. I think there's a lot of people supporting Ukraine. You also have to understand that we have a very strong Russian propaganda still in Germany, and you know, and they just discovered now what also was for me no surprise at all when Russian papers leaked that that the Russian government is supporting the far left and the far right in Germany, and they want to create a peace movement out of that so Ukraine doesn't get weapons, you know. And they say, and you know, how many times has Russia been saying like, this is a red line, you know, when Germany sent, you know, which was pathetic and ridiculous, 5,000 helmets to support Ukraine, and they say Germany is turning into a war party, and it was the far left, and you can prove that if you go on Twitter. All these terrible far left politicians were saying like, we shouldn't join, you know. Thank God we don't have these politics in our government, but the influence is still strong. Think of Nord Stream and all of these things. Nord Stream 2 was made after Russia annexed Crimea, which is such a crime on everything, you know. And they thought like, okay, we give Putin more economic bonding and then he will shut up. I mean, Germany should know best that this doesn't work with dictators. You know, you give them something, you say like, okay, we do this and this for you, and their reaction is they're getting greedy and they want more. And this is what's happening, and Ukraine is paying it with blood. I want Ukraine to win. I support Ukraine. It's not my Instagram is not like I hate Russia. It's not like that. I hate the Russian government. I think they're doing a totally wrong thing, and I think they really should have removed themselves like at least 9 months ago, after they saw they can't attack the government and it's going nowhere and they're just losing soldiers. They should have left Ukraine. You know, it's not my fault that they turn into a terrorist state, and that's a fact. I mean, it's not like slurring Russia. Russia is a terrorist state. It's proven. I mean, and then what they're doing with the kidnapping of the children and these things. I mean, I don't have children of my own, but I think this is like the worst thing. I mean, we're not. I don't even want to talk about like this cutting of the head and all of this because I can't talk about that. But the children, I know people who an organization who managed to get children back from Russia who were kidnapped, and the children said like they're taken away, and then they're told like, you're not Ukrainian anymore, you're Russian now. Your mother and father don't love you, they don't want you. We will make you a happy Russian now, but you're never allowed to speak Ukrainian. And it's totally, it's like, I mean, what does it feel for a child to you know, a little innocent person? I met so many Ukrainians, but not personally, and I learned that nobody, not a single one, would compromise and say like, I live under Russian government. Really, not a single one. So when I hear this politics saying about like, yeah, you have to make peace, my God, then accept the fucking Russian passport. Come on, but then there's peace. It's not peace. It's not peace. It's oppression. That's what it is. There can't be peace without freedom. It's impossible, and I can totally relate to that and totally understand it with 100%. And this is not peace. It's wrong. It's really wrong, and I think it's arrogant and disgusting that people are even saying that as a serious suggestion in German state television. I could really freak about that. That's one of the reasons why I got loud, to be honest, because I said, like, I don't want Ukraine to think like it's all about these rotten politics like Wagenknecht or somebody else who just sit there and say like, yeah, but you have to understand that, you know, Putin was provoked.
Yes.
You know,
Everything is complicated.
yeah. It's not complicated. It's quite easy. It's quite easy, and it's all stated. And you know, if you listen to Putin's speeches, then you know exactly where it's going to, what the plan is. If you listen to Kirill, and who says like, we have to save poor Ukraine because of gay parades, then you know, I mean, if you followed Russian politics in the last 15 years, then you know exactly where the journey is going to. I mean, he had the gay propaganda laws in 2013. We were demonstrating in front of Russian embassy, and everybody was thinking, it's only the gays, you know, it's not so important. And I was like, darling, this is how it starts with fascism. You take a minority. Tell me again that the Russian government has anything to understand about it. It's not for me.
Frank, can you say that war taught you something?
Yeah, war taught me a lot. What taught me actually a lot, it also taught me about, because to be quite honest, I've been to Ukraine once, and that's, I think, 15 years ago. I was in Kiev for a job, and I don't know a lot about Ukraine. I know a few Ukrainians before. I know the Klitschko brothers, but that was from working in Germany when they were still in Germany. And I always loved them because they're and they're very sweet and very intelligent and whatnot. I had a great time shooting with them. But besides that, I knew shit about Ukraine. So and when this all started, I got so involved and so many things fell on me that from Ukraine, you know, it was not only working on the main station, then I was assisting a famous costume designer from Ukraine when we did a film about refugees for the UN, and we worked like, it was like 2 weeks, we worked very intensely and all of these things, and then I got more and more and more involved, and I learned more about Ukraine and also about Ukrainians and how about, it sounds like a cliche, I know, but about the bravery and we're not going to be broken. And it was like 2 months in the full-scale invasion when I posted about it. I said, Putin, you can burn down whole Ukraine, you can kill everybody. You're never ever going to be able to break the Ukrainian spirit. This is for sure. This for sure. So you better give up because you can't win.
There's no chance.
No, there is no chance. I mean, all they're doing now is destroy. Look at the cities, how they're destroyed. Remember, they called it liberation. Look at Bakhmut. This is how the liberation looks like. I mean, darling, we don't want your liberation. Liberate, liberate your countryside. Maybe put toilets in, but don't steal them from Ukraine. Maybe invest in washing machines rather than in drones. And maybe if you think liberation looks like what you're doing there, then how about the Burning Kremlin festival for a change? If liberation is so great for you, you know.
Друзі, я сподіваюся, що ви відчули, що Франк з нами на одній хвилі цінностей та розуміння абсурдності дій Російської Федерації. А ми їдемо далі. Нас чекає зустріч з координаторкою громадської організації Vitsche Крістою-Марією. Більш детально про те, чим саме займається Vitsche, ми поговоримо далі, а на цих кадрах ви бачите акцію протесту Vitsche проти масових зґвалтувань українок російськими окупантами. Кріста-Марія народилась в Україні, але в 3-річному віці разом з батьками переїхала до Німеччини. Вона вчить українську мову і мріє, що одного дня повернеться додому, в Україну. А наразі в серці Німеччини є голосом українського народу.
We did a lot of humanitarian aid in the beginning, helped people from Ukraine that arrived in Berlin and Germany with information. We continued with our demonstration. Until now, we have nearly 80 demonstrations in over 1 year on different topics: EU integration, weapon delivery. For example, the Leopards in January, we did a demonstration. On 24th of February, we did a huge solidarity demonstration, and so on. And otherwise, we have a big focus on cultural work, so that we're working with Ukrainian artists to show Ukrainian culture to Germans or to Europeans, to show, like, look, our country is not only about war, but it's also so rich in culture, in music, and art, and different kinds of things, and also to bring Ukrainian artists that fled from Ukraine in contact with the German art scenes, for example. And the third thing that we're doing is educational and advocacy work on our social media, media work. We're doing different campaigns to keep people in Germany updated about the war, the Russian war against Ukraine, and also to show the Ukrainian perspective, because people often forget how it is when in your home country it is war.
Yeah. Yes, of course, unfortunately.
Yes.
How many people worked in this project?
It always changes. We were a lot of people in the beginning of the full-scale invasion, I think 200 people, maybe 200 to 200 people, but a lot of people had burnout. last year because it was just too much, like working every day, like the whole day, working next to your job. It was really tough. And now, like the core team is like 20 people, and then we have volunteers, and it's, I think, 50 people, and sometimes for some projects we are doing it's more. Yeah.
Слава Україні! Героям слава!
We're lucky because when they tried to shoot in our car,
Буча, Ірпінь, Гостомель.
I went to school. This is where I spent most of my time. This is where my friends live.
Почуйте нас! Ембарго! 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 Ембарго!
But I want to ask everyone who makes decisions about politics, about economics, is his life worth oil and gas from Russia? Are we worth it or not?
Sometimes your demo shows that German government do not enough for Ukraine. Have you ever felt the pressure?
From the German government? Not really. I mean, in Germany, thank God, it's a democracy, and even though the politicians sometimes don't understand or don't like our demonstrations, we see that through our demonstrations, they are also taking us serious and are willing to talk. So last year, for example, on the 9th and 8th of May, there we were forbidding Ukrainian flags alongside with Russian flags. We did a demonstration, we did a huge action, and so on and so on. And in the end, the mayor of Berlin back then, she got our report and she was like, yeah, we are looking into it. Nothing happened in the end, but usually they're very, they're trying to understand, or they're very careful also, because I mean, in the end, most of the population in Germany is empathetic with Ukraine, is supporting Ukraine and Ukrainians. We should never forget that. And also in the government, most of the democratic parties, not the left, not the Linke and not the AfD, but the democratic parties, they are very much in support of Ukraine. And if we say sometimes, hey, look, you need to do that better, they often say, maybe we didn't think about it, or maybe, yes, you're right, we should make that better.
Sometimes you show them different perspective.
Exactly, because often they're just not seeing it. In Ukraine, we are very much used to this protest and demonstration culture, that if something goes wrong, yes, we do a demonstration.
Yeah.
In Germany, it's a little bit different. We see with the climate actions, it's now also a lot of people getting active, but the majority is not doing demonstrations. Or maybe it's more when it's the Christopher Street Day or like Pride, that people see demonstrations more as a party, but not as a means of actually changing something.
Yes, fighting for something.
Yes, because in Germany we have different values here as in Ukraine. Ukraine is like a lot about freedom. And
Yes, we're still fighting, you know.
Exactly.
For this. So
yes, in Germany, freedom as a value is not so important. So we need to try to communicate with them on the basis of the values that are important to them. For Germans, it's a lot about security and comfort and status. And this is where we need to connect with them and say, look, but if you're not supporting Ukraine, you will lose your comfort, you will lose your status, so to say, and you will also lose your security. You are not secure as long as Russia is not defeated.
and how do you think Germans realize this threat from Russia Federation, or not exactly?
I don't think so. I don't think. I think some people, of course, do understand it. So this is also, I think, one of the reasons why a lot of Germans support Ukraine. But they also think that, for example, if there's now a frozen conflict, it will not affect them so much. So it's like they should just figure it out.
Yes.
And for us, it will be fine. We're far away enough, and Russia actually likes us, and we always had a good connection to Russia.
Oh, okay. And we should also give away our territories.
Some people say that because they really do not understand. They either do not understand, or they think it will not happen to them, and it doesn't matter because they are still this imperialistic mindset about countries in Central Europe and Eastern Europe, like for example Ukraine.
It's you can't imagine how it hurt us when German people just asking, maybe for peace, it's will be clever to just forget about Donetsk, Lugansk, and Crimea, and everything will be okay.
Yeah, and it's so naive because they can see what is going on in Crimea and Luhansk and Donetsk. It's in the news also here in Germany. You can watch a lot of German documentaries about it, what is going on in the occupied territories, because the media is actually reporting about it. But they are not interested in actually knowing how the reality looks like.
As you know, many Ukrainians still speak Russian. What do you think? Should we learn first of all our native language and then German, English, or wherever?
For me, it's a difficult question because myself, I'm learning Ukrainian again, because for me it was so painful always to know my family is in Ukraine partly. I'm coming from Ukraine and I cannot speak Ukrainian, and my family is Ukrainian speaking, the Ukrainian part. And for me, it was always so painful, also for my identity, because if I don't speak the language, then who am I, you know?
Yeah.
And I think this is actually from also my personal contacts, a lot of people switched completely to Ukrainian, even
Yes.
though they maybe also grew up in Germany in Russian-speaking families, and they switched last year, even though it was hard. Of course, it's hard to switch the language, and it costs a lot of effort. I know that myself, and they still did it. And I think it's a very deeply personal question that everyone should decide for themselves, and some people need longer time, but still in the end, if you speak Ukrainian, you are also in a different information sphere than if you speak Russian. So maybe if you speak Russian, you have more Russian sources, or you are going more to Russian movies or Russian music, or you know. And if you speak Ukrainian,
Everything is connected.
exactly. I came to Germany when I was still a small child, and as you said from your experience, it's very hard in Germany when you don't speak German. And for my parents, they made the decision that we need to learn German, and it's the biggest priority. And so at home, we started, my mom and me started. My mom also needed to learn German. I needed to learn German, so we switched kind of, and I forgot Ukrainian. It's one of my biggest heartbreaks, I think, for my whole life, and really hard, because I could also not communicate with my family so well in Ukraine, you know. And it's also like this identity question.
So with whom you practicing now your Ukrainian language?
Now everything changed. 2 years ago, during the COVID pandemic, when I had more time, I started with Duolingo. I knew some small words, you know, like expressions. I always knew. I also knew the alphabet, so I started with Duolingo to improve more vocabulary and so on. And since last year, I have an amazing Ukrainian teacher with whom I'm taking lessons, and I wish I could do more, but I work full time. I work for Vitsche, so I don't have so much time to practice. But I practice with my boyfriend. He's Ukrainian. I practice with the people at Vitsche because we're a Ukrainian-speaking organization. For me, they often do English meetings, but the people among themselves, they speak Ukrainian. So I listen to a lot of Ukrainian. I listen to a lot of Ukrainian music. I have my social media. I follow a lot of Ukrainian-speaking people, so I'm reading a lot of that. And it changed so much for me because it gave me the hope, and I see that my Ukrainian is getting better, that I feel more that I belong to the community, and also that I'm accepted for this original, like for this background, and I'm very happy for that, because for me, not speaking the language made it so hard to access this information sphere and to learn more about the culture, because before 2022 there was not so many Ukrainian books in English or in German. So it was quite hard to get the access before, but now it's so much easier, and I'm also happy for Vitsche to giving me this opportunity.
Which Ukrainian bands are you listening to?
Oh my God, so many actually. I started very basic with like I listened to Alyona last year, a lot to Kalush actually, because of the Eurovision Song Contest. Oh my God. You know, it's like when you're put on the spot, you always forget the names. I listen to Skofka, Jerry Hale,
Yes.
Okan Elsie. Yeah. Where is she? And also for me, TikTok changed so much because I could have this Ukrainian music, like Parova Mashina and stuff like that, you know. Onuka.
Onuka. Oh, yes. Right. Yeah.
Yes. We also were at the concert last year, and it was very beautiful. I love this concert so much.
Nata Zhishenko is very talented
Yeah.
artist. Yes. So on this Eurovision context, you will be with Ukraine?
Yes, of course. Like last year already, we had a huge Vitsche Eurovision party, and yes.
Wow, cool.
Особисто для мене це був прекрасний день, який хочеться запам'ятати. День знайомств з людьми, з якими ми розділимо перемогу.
I wish to all the Ukrainian people that the war will be won by Ukraine, that all the children will be returned that have been kidnapped, that everybody can return to his country and that the families will be reunited. I hope and I wish for Ukraine that same-sex partnership will happen soon and give the same rights to the queer people defending the country as it does to the straight people. I hope for Ukraine they will this year join European Union and NATO.
I wish all Ukrainians, first of all, the victory. I think this is the most important thing for every one of us now. And with victory, I mean that all the Russian troops are leaving all the Ukrainian territories completely, including Crimea, including Luhansk and Donetsk. And this is the absolute necessity so that all the people in Ukraine can be free. So I wish also freedom. I wish security and long-lasting security so that people do not need to be afraid of a new attack, that they get the guarantees from European Union, from whoever, but securities that this will never ever happen again. And I also wish all Ukrainians justice, that all the things that have happened will be brought to court, the people who did this will get their sentence, will get their punishment in a sense. And I think this are the three most important things, like victory, freedom, justice, and then prosperity, that we can rebuild our country and that we can show the world that that the Ukrainian culture is so powerful, is so rich, and that we can be this, I don't know, like be a peaceful and also, yeah, like a nation with a positive outlook who does not need to be afraid again that this will happen. And I think our people are so brave and they are so creative, and once we win, there are all the opportunities open for us.
Do you feel yourself as Ukrainian more than German?
Yes, but I think for me it's so important to learn the language completely. And my biggest wish is to go back to Ukraine at some point, and live there, maybe, I don't know, in Lviv, in Kiev, somewhere, and also help to rebuild Ukraine. And until then, I will try my best here to fight for the Ukrainians, in a sense, to convince Germans and other Europeans to support.
Now you have at least 2 persons who are waiting for you in Kiev.
I can't wait to visit you and learn more about our amazing home country.
Друзі, я з вами традиційно прощаюсь на вокзалі. Дякую, що додивились цей випуск до кінця. Дякую, що підписуєтесь, коментуєте. Ваша підтримка дуже важлива. Не забудьте донатити на Збройні Сили України, підтримувати один одного. До зустрічі. Побачимось!